So, I guess it's about time. Over a year ago, I made a 30-minute recap of Osana Reimu. Fucking great fan story that put a smile in my face. Great fan story that I recommend to watch if you have time. Or don't, I'm not your dad. I like Touhou. It has been a big part in my life. So much that I got those plushies. 2 of them. Especially after watching Osana Reimu multiple times, my love for the series has just kept growing because how creative the fandom is, and I just love the characters and music so much. But it's time to finish this up. I don't want to work on this like 6 months because I got other things to do and talk about, so this will be separated in parts. That way I don't find myself doing this for ages. Not that I hated my time with making the Osana video, just that it was so goddamn stressful. Just the fear that it might flop and people would hate it, but it was received well, so I'm kinda happy about that. Before I start, I want to show this amazing art that I received. It honestly puts a smile on my face when someone tries something of me. So further than ado, let's start this video. After Osana Reimu ended, I honestly didn't believe there would be a sequel because how amazing it was. But it did end in a pretty sad way. Reimu's memories got wiped of her mother and her time with Rumia because she couldn't handle the truth. So it did leave some doors open for a sequel. Like how Rumia will do with her new form and Reimu becoming an orphan. Well, here we go back to the present day of Gensokyo. So strap your seatbelts on because this is gonna be a bumpy ride. The first episode starts with Rinosuke being at Hakurei Miko's grave. He meets Yukari Terra and he says he can't remember who to us the grave belonged to. There's a flower carline on the grave which is weird because who leaves one at a grave? What Yukari asks Rinosuke and he doesn't have no idea who left it. We come to the Hakurei shrine where we see present day Reimu and Marisa fighting with each other. Probably because Marisa stole Reimu's wallet. Turns out they're just training and Reimu just broke her own rules by punching the shit out of Marisa. One big thing we notice is that when Reimu tries to activate her own fantasy nature, it fails and shatters, maybe indicating that Reimu hasn't achieved her own full power outside of just showing her armpits. But where is Rumia? I thought this was a story about Reimu and Rumia. Turns out that Rumi has been doing this multiple times where she just bites Reimu, and she has come to give Reimu flower garland. At this moment you might start to think that could Rumia be the one to leave the garland at the grave, and why? Well, what this sequel does well as the first one is the foreshadowing, so we have to watch more. Anyway, outside of that, this is a really cute scene where Reimu tries to hide her feelings how she feels of the situation, and says something like a teenager would say.
せっかくならお賽銭や食い物が良かったけど。ありがとう。And it ends with Rumia trying to bite Reimu's head off. Rinosuke and Yukari come to the shrine only to see Reimu trying to murder Rumia. Yukari explains that since whenever they meet, despite them having lost their memories, they keep coming back to each other. This heavily implies that despite both of them not even remembering anything about their friendship they had, it's still strong to this day even without them realizing it. I really liked the first episode. It already left us with some questions about Rumia and Reimu, and the art style has been kept amazing since Osana Reimu. I really loved the moments where Reimu just stretches Rumia's face and Marsa trying to hold back her laughter. The humor is still very good. The music is good as the first one. I'll play a few songs before we move on to the second episode. The second episode starts with Reimu trying to learn to use fantasy nature but failing it. Then Yukari comes there to remind her not to slack with her training. Yukari explains that fantasy nature is a unique spell passed down from generation of Hakurei Mikos, unlocking the user's innate power and at the same time reflects what lies in their heart. Maybe the reason why Reimu can't really activate her own spell because he hides how she feels. We also get explanation on Hakurei Miko's power, which allowed her to use darkness deep inside her heart as raw power. Reimu will have her own unique power once she learns to unlock it. Or maybe just paying some extra and unlock it immediately, like people who have no control of their money do. But because Reimu is always broke, so she just needs to learn it. Reimu needs to find her own heart and how she feels and where it belongs to, so she can unlock her own fantasy nature. The moment gets ruined once again by Rumia just jumping her hand. In next scene we are in Yuka's garden and there is a party with all of the yokas Reimu has beaten during the games. Reimu being relatable and Yukari fleeing out of the scene to snooze off. Then we meet Remilia, the older one of the Scarlet Sisters. She tells something about fate and then tries to make Reimu her bitch and sexually harasses her. She fails and her charisma is broken. We also get a scene where Alice and Patchouli are complaining about being dragged in and Marisa and Blandre trying to cheer them up. We then meet Yuumu, a half-human half-ghost girl who literally tried to cut Reimu in half because her mistress, Yuyuko, lied to her just so she could get New Year's food. Suikapi is being visibly upset because she wants to play with Reimu too and body slams everyone. This whole moment is way to introduce the foes she has become friends with. Clearly a opposite case compared to Miko, because in Osana Reimu she only had Reimu, Yukari and Rumia. It shows how much Reimu has gained allies and friends during the series. But why? Why does she have this many yokais following her? She is the Hakurei Miko herself. She is supposed to deal with them, not become friends with them. Yuka comes to water her flowers and comes to a shock when her garden is destroyed. Me and the boys after drinking match.
レイムたちは楽しんでるかしらね。
We find out that Yukari hasn't been able to wipe Yuka's memories out, so she knows everything. Hey Reimu, you remind me of your mother. She was very nice, very hot. Hey, did you know that she's also fucking dead? Yuka talks about the question that I've been thinking and thinks she is a failure as a Hakurei Miko. We get to know why this has happened. Reimu has been leaving her yokai exterminations incomplete for the longest time and is the first Hakurei to teach her duties. We see a bunch of needles around the area where she and a yokai is, implicated that she has been damaging the creature but hasn't finished it yet. The fox yokai is standing still in fear and she could finish it but she decides not to. This also implies that she feels empathy towards the creatures and doesn't want to kill them. She makes a lie to Yukari, telling she finds yokai extermination boring and that's why she is not doing it. Instead of Yukari being angry, she bursts out laughing, telling she is the first Miko to say that. After a long silence, she tells that Reimu will be fine being like this. She says that as far as Hakureis go, she is probably a failure, but she is after all Hakurei Reimu.
確かに、白霊の巫女としては失格かもしれないけど。楽しかったぜ。吸血鬼お前帰れもう。でもね、彼女は白霊レームだもの。
And ask, isn't it right, clumsy Miko-san? She tells her that she remembers what happened with Reimu's mom. She became hated and feared for doing her job. So maybe Yukari is glad that Reimu won't end up like her, and instead she got caring people around her. One thing I gotta say, which I probably didn't say during Osana Reimu video, is that I love these ending credits. They show a bunch of fan arts while we get to listen to good ass music. They also leave a teaser on what next episode will be about. After the ending credits, we see Yukari snoozing next to Yuka when Rumia comes up to them and gives Yuka a flower garland. They notice the seal on Rumia has started to wither and is soon about to break. I love this episode. Just gives a lot of backstory on Reimu, what happened to her and why she doesn't want to kill a yokai, and telling us how Yukari feels about Reimu, while also teasing that something will happen soon. I'll cover more episodes on next part because this is going to take long to cover. If you want to know what's going to happen, then go watch the show or subscribe to my channel to get notification when next part comes. Thank you for watching and I'll see you next time.